All right, now recording has begun.
All right. Hey, I ask everybody to, since this is audio and we don't want to step on each other, identify who you are when you talk, just so we'll know. We don't want this to go all night long because we're paying for it, but we do have some important stuff to take care of. So that being said,
Bill,
I'll call.
Bill, did you receive the script?
Yes, ma'am. I've got it in front of me here.
All right,
the script. I've got the agenda here.
Oh, I emailed the script to you at 4:54.
Okay, let me double check that. I have my computer powered up here.
This is Debbie. Lee, can you also repeat what you told us earlier about open board meetings?
Oh, well, just
I don't think Bill was on the call when you mentioned it.
Oh, yeah, we can go back to meeting in person.
We can?
Yes, they decided last night.
And when is... Wow, I wish I would have known that.
Not tonight, of course.
Yeah, so this is Steve. We probably can make this one short and then schedule something in person. Just kind of go through the agenda.
I agree with that too.
I've got the script in front of me, so let's start this thing officially, and we can go through business quickly, and then we plan another meeting if we need to. Before we begin, my name is Bill Elliott. I'm the chair for the Walingford Village PID board. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting of August 19th, 2020, in accordance with the Texas Governor's March 13, 2020 disaster declaration and subsequent suspension of certain types of Texas Open Meetings Act provisions. The meeting of this board is hereby called to order via teleconference call at 7:02 p.m. As this meeting is being held through teleconference, each speaker should announce their name before speaking each time they speak. The meeting follows a printed agenda that's available online and was posted according to the Opens Meeting Act. We'll begin with a roll call. Could each member of the board please say here when your name is called? Steve?
Here.
Cornelia?
Here.
Kenda?
Here.
And I'm here. And we also have an attendant. Oh, yes. Lori, are you here?
Lori.
Yes, Lori is here.
Sorry, she's sitting right next to me. I was just pointing at names. We also have Lee from the city, and we have Debbie, our PID board manager. And at large, we have Janice Elliott. And do we have anybody else? Any neighborhood visitors that are here with us today? We may have one calling in that I talked to earlier in the week and gave him the information. Let's see, how many members do we have present now? 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, 5.
Let the record reflect that 6 members are present, and this satisfies the quorum requirement. In an effort to minimize disruptions, the following meeting guidelines will apply. Board members, staff, and citizens, please keep your phone on mute at all times unless speaking. We've got a fairly small group, so I think if everybody's quiet, that won't be a problem. If a board member wishes to speak, please state your name. Once I call on you, clearly state your name every time at the beginning. That's because it's being recorded and just in case somebody sounds like somebody else. After the board finishes their discussion, I'll ask for citizen comments. If a citizen wishes to speak, and we may, like I said, we may have one later that'll come onto the call. Please state your name at this time, and I'll call on you. Each member of the public will have 5 minutes to speak, with an additional time allowed at my discretion. Once I call on you, Clearly state your name every time at the beginning. For each vote, I'll call on each each board member, and that person will state their vote and name. An extended pause during voting will be provided to ensure all votes are recorded accurately. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be later posted to the Grand Prairie website. So, our agenda, the first thing on our agenda is landscape improvements and/or the maintenance of Carrier Parkway. Let me start this off by saying that a little history for people that might listen to the recording here. We were planning on, and the PID had voted on getting some recommendations from SPSD, our landscape provider, and for plants to replace the ones that were dead and to find more sturdy plants for some of the wet locations and some of the dry locations. Debbie and I walked the property with folks from SPSD, and they gave us some suggestions and so forth. I did a little research on the plants, and we tried to plan a meeting where we could all sit down and talk to the SPSD people, but that's when the COVID thing kicked in and we couldn't have any in-person meetings and everything was called off. So we've been trying to plan a meeting to do this. It's kind of hard to pick plants and stuff when you can't look at pictures, but we kind of we've kind of held off because of the issues with meetings and so forth. But in the meantime, we've had some issues. We've had irrigation problems. We've had irrigation system replaced, or not replaced, but repaired, and then more problems. And Lori and I have noticed when walking the property that parts of the landscaping along the monument on Beatty were just bone dry. So then we had them out, and then they worked on it again. Lots of problems. It seems like a simple system shouldn't have those kinds of issues. Also, we had a plant that was stolen, as everybody knows, an agave plant from Hobbs, a rather large one. So I asked Debbie to contact them to see about replacing it with an agave plant that was similar size to the one that was stolen. And after going around, they finally said, yeah, we can do that. And they replaced it with one. If you saw the pictures I sent out, that was probably 13 inches, maybe 14 inches in diameter, as opposed to the one on the other side that's about 36 inches in diameter, and frankly, looked laughable. So Debbie and I talked about it and agreed that this is ridiculous, that this plant's not similar. So she contacted them, and they said, well, for $535, we can replace it with a bigger plant. And now you see what we got. A bigger plant is probably maybe 20 inches in diameter for $535. Stephen was not very pleased with this, and I'll let Stephen speak to the specifics, but I sent you pictures of what his guy found. Stephen, would you kind of jump in here and take over with the guy you talked to and where the pictures were from and the prices that they were talking about?
Sure. This is Steve Bradfield, Vice President, Walingford Village PID. I looked at the agave plant. I noticed the one that we actually have is probably about 35 gallons. The one that we needed replaced, we was hoping to get at least 30 to 35 gallons. I went to Landmark Nursery, which is a commercial nursery. I went to Rubio's, which is downtown. They do commercial landscaping. They quoted a 15-gallon agave that is like $200 for a 15-gallon agave, and then $100 install. And then they had a 30-gallon that was $550, and $275 to install. Plus, they give warranty on the plants. I took pictures, provided him with the bill so he can kind of see the difference, so we can kind of gauge about the size of agave plant that they replaced up there. I'm thinking it's just looking at the size, it's no more than a 15-gallon plant that $550 for. I think it's overpriced for what we're supposed to be getting. I think we should really look at SPD really close going forward. That's my
Thanks,
take.
Stephen. One of the other things I'll bring up about SPD, Debbie and I talked to them about possibly starting, because one of the proposals I wanted to come to the board with was a proposal to get the fence line done and then work toward the street so we could start getting this stuff taken care of, because, money's an issue. We don't have unlimited funds, and this stuff isn't cheap. And we knew that we were going to need some trellises for some of the plants, the wisterias, along the fence. So we asked them to give us a quote for what the trellises were going to cost, and they suggested trellises that were going to be screwed to the fence, and we said, well, that's not going to work. We're not going to attach anything to the fence. It's got to be metal and set in concrete, and we haven't heard anything back. One of my concerns is also, I don't know if the board is totally aware, they seriously raised our expenses or the charges to us this year. They were going to raise them even more, and Debbie said that wouldn't work and negotiated it down. But nonetheless, we're paying more, and it seems like we're getting less and less and less and less service, kind of like we're a thorn in their side or something. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this?
Well, this is Steve Bradfield. My thoughts, I think we should start looking at other landscaping companies. I know we've been down this road before, but I've been able to research companies. Some's out of Mansfield, some out of Arlington. I think we just need to try to start researching companies, getting them to come out and maybe walk the property, and get some kind of idea. So when we do talk to SPD, in case we don't be able to reach an agreement, that we don't just be stuck without a landscaping company.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this?
Excuse me, Stephen, this is Lori Butler. I didn't hear the last comment you made.
Okay, I was just saying. I'm sorry. Okay, this is Stephen. I was saying maybe we should start looking at other landscaping companies. So once we meet with SPSD, that we don't be just stuck if they decide to end the contract, and we don't be stuck without a landscaping company. I think we should start having companies come out, giving us a bid on the property, and get some, just have something, plan B.
Now, one of the things,
Thank you.
This is Bill Elliott. I want to backtrack just a hair here. One of the things that I was hoping to do in this meeting before issues came up and so forth was to talk about getting permission to hire SPSD's landscape architect to come out and come up with a plan, exact plan as to what kind of plants, where they would go, how many we'd need, so we'd have an exact price, and none of this, we can plant some of these over here and we can plant some of those over there kind of thing. They have a landscape architect, and it'd be about $1,200 to do that service. But that being said, I think we have other issues here that we need to think about. Do we attempt to stay with these guys, or do we look around and just kind of hold off on what we're doing and go from there? Now, Stephen did get the name of the landscape company that's doing the dentist's office and maxillofacial surgery office there on Hobbs and Carrier. It's Prime Landscape Services. They do a nice job with what little they do there. But it was just a name we thought that if we were going to contact people, that might be one we'd contact. I would kind of leave that to Debbie. If she has some thoughts of people, or Debbie, do you have any thoughts of how this is going? And you work with a lot of these people. Is everybody having problems like this and feeling like they're kind of being pushed around, or what are your thoughts?
This is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. Bill, I do have a couple different properties that are having similar issues, especially with irrigation repairs that are of concerns. And I do have different companies, if you would like me to, that I could bid out the landscape services. With Goodwin and Company, they have a lot more vendors than Cornerstone, use that I have, available. Of course, they would have to go through the city and make sure they have the proper insurance and requirements needed to fulfill that obligation. But if that's something you all want me to move forward on, I can definitely do that.
What are your
But
thoughts?
irrigation,
Are we overreacting here in comparison to what everybody else is going through, or are we looking for something that doesn't exist? Or what are your thoughts on that?
you know what I can just say from our system and our irrigation system being newer, I wouldn't think we would have that many repairs. Now, I know on older systems, it's repair crazy. I mean, it's always a lot of repairs. I mean, sometimes it's several monthly on older systems. Now, I know with the drip irrigation, that is a little bit different, and it's a little bit, I don't want to say harder to maintain, but it does have a tendency to break sometimes. But I mean, I kind of feel the repairs are a little excessive on that line too.
Okay.
So maybe we could just reach out, and just get comparable bids, and maybe I can meet with a couple companies and we can narrow it down. Not to say that we're going to make a change, but if we decide to go that route, we'll have some other options. Or we could also plan an on-site meeting with our company now, and address our concerns first and give them some opportunity to make some changes and know our concerns.
Right. This is Bill again. I would like to have a backup plan in our folder, just in case a meeting with SPSD didn't go well and they decided that they just wanted to bail and didn't want to do what we wanted. But I don't have a problem with talking it through, but I think we should have some options available. Cornelia, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yes, so this is Cornelia Miller. I agree. I feel like both things are good to have a backup plan, looking at other landscape companies, and then also getting with the current landscaper and giving him or them time to try to rectify it. I feel like there's some things I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't do more, but then the pandemic happened, so I'm not sure if they knew if they were allowed to do any more. There's a lot of things that didn't really get done. Plants didn't get replaced. I noticed there are lot of areas that are empty that don't even have mulch in them. That's all been washed out. I don't know. I guess that's not included in the normal maintenance, but I thought that we had mulch and rocks and things that we were going to do. That I don't know if that just got on hold. But so, like I was saying, I believe that there are, let them have a chance, but then also have a backup plan. That is something that I would agree to as well.
Okay, this is Bill again. Just to answer your question on that, we were working on a plan, Cornelia. The erosion issue, we were holding off on the mulch until we had the erosion issue figured out. That's all a part of the same plan. and that was what was going to be presented to the board way back when we were told we couldn't have meetings in person anymore. So that's kind of where that stopped. That was a plan. That was part of the plan, was to solve those issues, probably with rock, where the erosion's really bad. But here again, this is also where we got to the situation of, well, maybe we really need an architect, a landscape architect, to figure out how this all works, instead of just talking to, the supervisor, and he's going, well, we could throw some rock over here, or we could plant these plants over here. They do really well. Have more of a plan than just a thought process, verbal process thing going on. What we can, Debbie, I suppose you and I could get together and maybe make a list of what we're looking for, and you could search around and find some possibilities for us, and we could take that to the board to see if they want to talk to these folks and see what they have going. Does that sound like a possibility?
This is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. Yes, that does sound like a possibility. And I'm pretty open. So you would just let me know when would be a good time for you, and we could coordinate that.
Okay. Does everybody on the board like that idea? We won't bail from SPSD until we have some options, and then at that point we'll sit down with SPSD, hopefully in a few weeks, and say, okay, we've got some issues here that we need to figure out how we're going to approach them. If that sounds like a good idea to everybody, I don't know that we have to vote on that. We're not spending any money or anything, but we can go look into that and present it at the next meeting. That sounds like a good idea.
Hi, Bill. This is Steve. I'm for it. I'm for them coming out. Actually, I would like to invite them to our next meeting in person, to get a chance to find out on the selection of plants, how they came up with that choice. I mean, as much problems we've had up there lately, I would think the owner or someone would have came out and kind of made sure this was done right. So I'm interested in meeting with those guys and definitely sitting down, and hearing their proposal.
Okay. Well, a main priority will, in the meantime, be keeping the plants alive that we've got and keeping things maintained. Yes. I'm not saying we're going to walk away from any of that, but Debbie and I will get together and we'll try to come up with a list of stuff. And once we've got some potential things to present, we'll schedule another meeting and maybe even have some of those people come and talk about what they would do.
Debbie, this is Lori. I've got several questions that are kind of going through my head at the moment, but I'm going to tackle them in relatively order. One is, do we understand why they're increasing the charges on us, the expenses?
This is Debbie with Goodwin and Company. Not really. It's what I've got and what I've got from a lot of the landscape companies, it's just due to labor costs. And several of my other communities were increased too. I kind of feel like, I know we just signed, the contract in, I think it was July, but I kind of feel like an increase will be coming with our next contract if we renew too. So I think having some other options is a great idea. Not saying that we have to go with that, but just knowing, wanting to make sure that we're getting what we're paying for and that they don't abuse, the increase.
This is Lori again. I would wholeheartedly support that we need to have a meeting wherein the vendor could come and we have the chance to share our concerns. I would be in support of that. Debbie, another question back to you is, did you feel like the manner in which, the issue at Carrier and at the Beatty flower bed, we've had some issues with that. As you remember, Dana and I went with several totes and ourselves carried water several times to add water to that area. to prevent the plants. It seems as though, from dying, it seems as though more plants have continued to die. The bed is not as full. We've got erosion because there's no mulch. I now understand why. And lastly, there's concern about the types of plants that have been planted there. While I love those tall grasses, the problem is they planted them smack dab, that's a technical term, smack dab right there in front of the monument, so you can't even see what the monument name is. So I think we need to have more than the, I think we need to have probably 2 levels of individuals, meaning 2 tiers, you know, the customer success manager and his or her boss to be, because I think we need to get some clear answers about what decisions and what plantings and things like that, and watering schedules, and why we're not getting as much responsiveness and focus on our planting.
This is Bill. I can answer the super tall plants at Beatty issue. When they were proposing things for summer planting, those grasses were really small, and they were doing so well compared to everything else. We talked about it, and they said, "Oh yeah, these are super hardy grasses. They'll get a little bit taller, but," he goes, "they should do really well." So we said, "Well, why don't we do this instead of spending money on replacing those? Let's just keep those there and see how well they do." Well, what he didn't say was they'd get 5 feet tall. I figured a little bit taller meant maybe 3 feet, 2.5, you know, instead of 16 inches. But that's why they're there. That's why they're really tall. So I'll take the hit on that one. We made that decision to see how they would do, and it was kind of an experiment to see if those were plants that we needed to put somewhere else because they were really hardy. They're good plants, but you only want to put them someplace where they can be allowed to really get big. So that's the explanation on that one.
Okay, but they should have known that.
Yeah, well, he should have said they'll get 4 feet tall. But anyway, now we know to ask more questions than we've been asking.
This is Cornelia Miller, and I noticed that as well, and I was wondering, couldn't they just, you know, come in and like maybe trim them down some, at least, until we decide what else to do, because you can't see the monument.
This is Bill. You can't do that this time of year; it'll kill them. You can do that in the fall, and then they come back next summer. And you do that in the fall. You'd cut them down almost to the ground. But in the summertime, if you do that, they'll just die. That's the problem with the tall grasses. And that's he kind of warned us about that. He said, you know, well, if we leave them there, we need to leave them there, because he said you can't exactly come in and prune them. So we're kind of, like I say, I'll take the hit on that one. We knew they get taller. We didn't know they get that tall. Anything else about
Debbie Landis. Oh,
yes,
sorry,
Debbie?
Bill. Yeah, this is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. I know that fall color will be coming up soon, and what I'm going to ask for way ahead of time, which is tomorrow, is that he come up with a plan for plants in our 2 beds at Hobbs and Beatty that will do well and also look good when they're at their full growth.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'd like to bring up to the board. This is Bill again. I apologize. You know those long strips, probably 15 foot long, 12 foot long strips where for flowers there at Hobbs on both sides of the monument that don't have anything in them right now. We were planning on, as a stopgap until we really redo the landscape, putting fall color in those areas too to fill in that gap and make that look a little nicer on flanking the monument. People think that's a good idea?
This is Cornelia. I agree with that. That's going to make it look a lot better. And I also wanted to say they planted that second agave, but I was looking at that. I don't know. It kind of looks like maybe they planted it too deep. Did anyone else notice that?
Yes, this is Steve. Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah, it's got rocks up around it a lot higher than you would think normally, but I'm not a arborist or anything or a plant expert, so yeah, aside from being small, it does appear to be planted kind of low.
This is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. I can ask Michael about that too tomorrow when I contact him, and just double check and make sure that that is planted correctly, and get something in writing so that we have it, in case we need it for a future date.
Yeah, this is Bill again. I'm wondering if we should ask him why it's so small and so expensive.
This is Steve. That was my question. My next question, Bill, because I just want to know if he can just explain the cost. I mean, especially knowing that you can go to any of these commercial nurseries out there and see a much larger agave for the price that he charged us.
Yeah, for $100 more.
Yeah, this is Debbie Landis again with Goodwin and Company. What he planted this last go around was a 24-inch agave, and I think the cost was $550 on that.
Did that, Debbie, this is Lori. Did that include the installation?
Yes.
Yes.
This is Lori again. Steve, did you happen to have those receipts in writing from the commercial nurseries that we could use to challenge the cost?
This is Steve. Lori, they wrote it on the back of a card, but I can get them to drop whatever we need. I just have to go back Saturday and get it.
This is Lori again. I would suggest we do that. And I propose that we raise those issues when we've got the facts at hand and challenge that there needs to be a price adjustment. Have we paid Bill?
Yes, Candace, go ahead.
I was looking at the contract, and I don't know if I'm not reading it right, but on the very first page, is that how many times they're supposed to be out here?
This is Debbie with Goodwin and Company. Yes, that is their proposal or their matrix for the times that they visit during each month.
Well, I live up here close to the monument, and I can guarantee that they're not here that many times.
This is Debbie with Goodwin. I can ask for documentations and dates that they've serviced since 2020, and hopefully they'll be able to provide that if that's what we need.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Since we're planning on having another meeting, an in-person meeting to talk about this more in depth and look at some proposals, does anybody else have anything about along Carrier and the monuments right now? If not, we can move on, but I'll give anybody a chance to chime in here.
This is Lori, do we need to make a motion about inviting them to the next board meeting or seeking different costs, or do we need to do that?
I don't think that needs to be we don't need to vote on that. Okay. Everybody says they want to, Debbie and I'll just make it happen, and we'll figure it out. We're not spending any money or making commitments. Let's look at the landscape improvements and or maintenance of the Beatty Park area. It seems that they're mowing it and picking up the trash. When I drive by, I'm not seeing any issues. Has anybody else seen any issues?
Trash removal. Sorry, this is Lori Butler again. Trash removal, I would continue to make sure that they are removing it from the bin, as well as trash that gets blown back up into that little preserve area.
In the trees there?
Yes.
Okay. On topic D, wall and fence monument improvements. Debbie, you were going to check in before the COVID thing all changed our lives. As I recall, you were going to check and see about the paint that was peeling, the little chips we were getting on the top of the fence in a few places. Do you remember that?
This is Debbie with Goodwin and Company. Yes, I do. I need to follow up with Rick with Future Outdoors, and I will do that and give you that date. I'll get him to come out and look at that.
Okay.
And let you all know when that's going to happen.
We've already, I believe we talked about the trellises. They wanted to bolt the trellises to the fence, and Debbie and I said, no, that's not going to happen. Let's see. On the next category, signage, improvements, and/or maintenance. We don't have any signage. Lighting improvements and/or maintenance. That is all. Yes, we do need to add lights to the fence, along the fence. I believe there's 6 that were not put in, where there need to be plants and there need to be lights put in, or either dug out and found out if lights are just buried in the dirt. But there's 6 of them that are not there for some reason. And when Debbie and I walked the property, honestly, it looks like they weren't put in the first place because there weren't plants there. So that's all a part of getting all of this fixed. Then we have holiday decorations. I would suggest that we don't worry about holiday decorations right now, that we focus on trying to get the landscape design and the company that we can trust to get it put in and planted and get all of that figured out. And if we do and we have a little extra money, want to put some wreaths up, that's a different thing. But any thoughts on that?
Hey, Bill, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is Cornelia Miller. I'm sorry, can we go back to E, the signage improvements? I thought that at one time we talked about having the letters made darker. Is that still something we might need to do or think about?
Debbie,
this is Debbie with Goodwin. Yes, this is Debbie with Goodwin and Company. I do have one vendor that we use all the time that can paint the letters. I'll have her look at it and give you all a bid.
Okay.
I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if she's an approved vendor with the city, so I'll need to check on that too.
This is Lee. What's her name?
Color Innovations. Her name is Debbie Yates.
Oh, yes, we have used them in the past.
Oh, good. Thank you, Lee. Okay, so I can check with her and get a bid for you all. Yes, good news.
And holiday decorations, what do people think about that? Just kind of hold off and this year and try to focus on getting back on track here because of COVID and everything?
Hey, Bill, this is Steve. I agree. I agree with holding off, but I do think we need to get those lights adjusted along the fence line, and maybe someone needs to adjust the timer because I know when we lost power in Grand Prairie, I think the timer's probably a couple hours off now.
Okay. Debbie, can you have the SPSD folks check that out next time?
Yes, I can.
Steve, this is Lori. Just clarifying, when you mean adjusted, what do you mean? Do you mean the timers or the angle?
Timer.
Or both? Okay.
Yes, the timer, and then also the angle on the lights. Some of them are covered. Some of them are leaning back too far where they're not illuminating up against the fence like they're supposed to.
This is Bill. There are a couple of them that are actually buried in the plants too.
Yeah.
The plants have grown up around them. But yeah, they should come out and take a look at that. And it's not like the lights need to be replaced. They just need to be adjusted.
is Debbie with
Okay.
Goodwin. I can ask FPSD to check those and reposition them, and also check the timers to make sure that they're coming on when it's dark and there's no delay.
Great. Okay, we kind of joked about the utilization of security cameras. We haven't had anything stolen again. What we had kind of joked about is putting up the cameras that hunters use when they put cameras strapped on the trees so they can see where, if there are deer in the area and stuff at night when they're not around. I don't think we need to do anything right now, but if we have another agave stolen, I think we need to look into putting something up, because these things are expensive. I can't believe that people steal plants in this neighborhood, but they do. The agave was the second time that's happened.
This is Steve, Bill. Go ahead, Cornelia. Go ahead.
This is Cornelia Miller, and I was just wondering, we did send around some pictures and emails, and someone asked the question, would it be possible to use one of our other bigger agaves in the other part of the landscape maybe, and switch those so it would look more uniform at the front? Is that still an option or not?
This is Bill. I like the option. I don't know what it would cost, but I think it's a good idea if we're stuck with this small plant and we go with another company, especially, is to have that as part of the landscape plan, is to swap that out and move it. That's my personal opinion, but anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Hey, this is Steve. I know we did discuss that. I'm on board with it, but I just feel like they're gonna charge, $300-400 to move something that should have never been. We should have had the right plant there anyway. Then of course we'd be looking at almost $800 into that one plant, that one area.
Right. Yeah, it would be a this is Bill. It'd be a last stitch effort, a last option, I guess is the word I'm looking for, to if we have to move it. It's a nice plant they planted. It's just about 25% of the size it should be. But I think I would like to see us kind of hold that open as an option to get the situation solved. Especially if we go with another company. Anybody else? And here again, we can discuss this further as we talk to some of these other landscape companies. That might be something Debbie and I talk to these guys about, is, what's the possibility? Can you move these plants and stuff like that? Okay. If there's no more discussion on that. I'm sorry, hold on a second. Question was asked, what was the agreement on the contract for the replacement? We asked them to put something in that was similar size. And they said, well, we can do this. It's going to cost this much. I'm going to measure that. If that's 24 inches, I'll be shocked. Anyway, let's talk about the financial reports. The really important part here, so we know how much money we got to play with. Lee, would you mind going over this with us and just kind of confirming? I've looked at it, but I'm not a bookkeeper. Just kind of know where we're at and where we're going and what kind of money we have to consider working with if we were to hire somebody the first of the year to come in and do a bunch of stuff.
This is Lee. For the current year, fiscal 20, we had started the year with $10,866, and revenues year to date are $38,218. Year-to-date expenses are $12,697, and the current cash balance is $36,387. We're estimating ending the year with $25,900. So in your budget, I put your estimated beginning balance down as $25,000. Your estimated income is $38,095, and the city contributions increased a little bit to $855. So your total income for the year will be $38,950, and your amount available is $63,950. So under expenses, I've just kept that pretty much the same. Total budgeted expenses are $48,532. So I put beautification at $17,000, but you just need to let me know how much you would actually like to spend. If you don't, would it help if y'all just review the expenses line by line?
Sure.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. If so, we kind of know what we're looking at here.
This is Cornelia. I was just wondering, did you put in the increase in how much the landscape company was going to charge us?
This is Lee. I put in the amount of the current mowing contract. So if you think it might go up, you just let me know what you think it might be, and I'll change it.
Okay. Well, I guess we thought that, this is Cornelia again. I guess we had talked about that we renewed the contract in July, but then I guess it might come up in next July, which would bring us a little short, I guess. Is that correct?
Well, the expiration date is April 30th, but like I said, if we need to raise that estimated amount, just let me know.
Lee, this is Debbie Landis. Okay, I did make an error when I stated the contract was renewed in July. This current contract that we're on, it terminates or expires April the 30th, 2021. So I just wanted to get that corrected. Sorry about that.
And what was this is Cornelia, and what was the cost, the new cost that we renewed?
The contract, this is Debbie with Goodwin and Company. The contract price was $10,347.93.
Mm-hmm. And then you anticipate them to go up again?
This is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. I'm not certain that they will go up again, but they were trying to increase our contracts by 5%, and I was able to negotiate down to 3%. Because I told them that the board would not be happy with that increase, being that we had only been with them for a year, and they were already increasing
This
it.
is Lori. So, Lee, should we, understanding that the current vendor is likely to increase in the coming years, should we adjust kind of the budget in 2022 through 2025 to kind of reflect some sort of 3 or 5% increase?
This is Lee. What I would recommend doing is just increasing it for fiscal 21, and then just let them tell us every year whether or not they plan to increase it. Most of the companies don't increase every year. They'll keep the same 2 or 3 years and then increase it, unless you change companies. That would change it, of course. So they don't usually do an increase every year unless they have some kind of need.
Okay.
This is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. I can reach out to the company if you all want me to, and ask them if we are anticipating an increase at the end of our contract, April 30th, 2021.
This is Lori, and maybe I would suggest no. That's my opinion, for the reason being is that they may get the idea that they could increase it, that we might have more budget.
This is
You
Debbie
understand what I'm saying?
Landis. Yes, and I do. I will not mention it. I see exactly that could just open the door.
This is Steve. Debbie, is there any way you can provide us with the amount that we've paid in repairs? Because I think the repairs have already more than exceeded their increase that they wanted to make. If we had the repairs on that we've got throughout the year, I think we went over 5%.
Okay, this is Debbie Landis with Goodwin and Company. Yes, Steve, I could go through and look at that and see what we've paid like to date, you know, maybe starting from 2020 or maybe starting from when the contract went into effect May 1st.
This is Stephen. Yes, from April, from the start of April, when it was April 30th to today.
Okay, this is Debbie Landis, and yes, I can get that information. I'm working on budgets right now, so it might take me just a little bit to get this information, but I will get this information for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have any more questions on the financial report or the budget right now? And we can discuss this again when we sit down and talk about what some of these other companies are proposing to.
Oh, this is Lee. On the budget, I really need your final budget numbers by August 25th. Of course, when you do projects, you can spend, you know, whatever it actually costs, but we need our budget by August 25th.
So this is Cornelia. I would propose that we increase it just a little bit for the mowing contract, because if we decide we may want to go with another company, we really don't know what the price is. So I propose that we increase it a little bit.
Well, this is Bill. We don't know what that would be. When we get the bids, we'll know more, but I don't know that we won't have that information by the 25th, I don't think. Lee, the budget that we give you, that's just as that's a proposed budget, right? If for instance, beautification, if we want to spend $22,000 on beautification instead of 17, is that going to be a big problem?
No, that's fine. This is Lee. Okay. Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So we could look at this and we could approve this as at this point in time being as accurate and as close as it can be, and then go from there. Does that sound like the way to do it, Lee?
This is Lee. Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Then I'd like to make a motion. Well, would somebody like to make a motion that we approve the budget numbers that are here, and then knowing that we can change those as things change if we change our provider and if we decide that we want more for landscaping than 17,000 or whatever.
This Steve. Yes, I want to make the motion, but I have a question to Lee before I make the motion.
Okay.
Lee, where are we currently pulling the funds for repairs that we have from the landscaping company?
Repairs, if you mean like beautification, like this is Lee, repairs such as replacing a missing plant, that would go in the beautification line 60490. Irrigation repairs go under irrigation system maintenance 63065.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, this is Lori. I'm not seeing any charges though in the beautification. It looks like we still have $7,000 available. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the budget. I thought it was actual.
Yeah.
Lee, yes, so far you have not spent anything out of beautification this year.
That's why we have $36,000 down here so far.
So this is Cornelia again. So, and under irrigation, that is where our irrigation maintenance, I would suggest we might want to put a little bit more than 500 in there.
Might not be a bad idea. What are you proposing?
Maybe 800 or 1,000. Oh, this is Cornelia. Sorry.
This is Lee. Oh, okay, I've increased that line to 1,000.
I think that's a good idea.
Stephen, Lee, or Debbie, do you know if we have to have irrigation done by the landscaping company that we hire, or can we looking at like maybe a True Green, their commercial company that come out and maintain irrigation, stuff like that, or is that an option?
This is Debbie with Goodwin and Company. That is an option to outsource your irrigation repairs. Sometimes it is a problem though when it comes to warranty information, because a lot of times they won't warranty something that they don't maintain. But we can definitely check into it.
Okay, thank you.
Debbie, this is Bill. Are you talking about like if the landscaper doesn't put in the irrigation system, they won't warranty the plants if they die because of drought?
Sometimes that this is Debbie Linkus with Goodwin and Company. Sometimes that is the case. If you, like, say, we have someone put in, say, a new agave or some summer or winter flowers, a lot of times the people, the outsourced company that are installing it won't guarantee or warranty it because they're not maintaining it and don't know what the sprinkler or the irrigation system is like. That's what I have found in some, but we can definitely check into it.
Okay. And we can talk about that when we have our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Debbie Landis, yes.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the budget with the increase to $1,000 on irrigation maintenance?
Steve, I motion to approve the irrigation to $1,000 and the mowing contract as is.
Okay. Is there a second?
This is Cornelia. I second.
This is Lori. Who made the motion?
Stephen?
Stephen.
And he can't approve his own motion.
No, I didn't. Amelia.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Our motion.
Made it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Cornelia second. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Since we're on the phone, we'll do a roll call. Stephen?
Present.
How do you vote? Yes or no?
I approve it, yes.
Okay. Cornelia?
I approve.
Okay. Is Kenda on the phone?
Yes, I approve.
Okay. And I vote yes. So the motion, Lori can't vote. No. Just because she's sitting next to me doesn't. I'm going by people on the phone. Lori, get on the phone. I'm sorry. Lori, and you vote?
I approve.
All right. Great. So I don't think we have anybody, but did we have anybody join the call? Any of our neighborhood residents join the call that have anything that they want to comment on or bring up in the citizens forum? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting and we will get with everybody. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, before we adjourn the meeting, I apologize. Let's talk about when might be a good time to get back together. Debbie, what do you think would be a reasonable amount of time in order to be able to talk to some of these folks so we can get somebody, one or two people to come to a meeting and talk to us?
I would recommend, this is Debbie Landis with Goodwin. I would recommend maybe the middle of September, or maybe towards September the 10th. Because I know this is,
well, you want to do like the 16th or?
Yes, I mean, I might can get, because I'd like to get Michael and maybe Rachel from SBSD to come out and talk to us when we meet next, so we could express our concerns.
Do we want? I would like us to talk to the other possible vendors first.
Okay.
So we have a plan in case it all goes the wrong direction with SBSD.
Okay, then definitely September the 16th, then, because it does take a while to get these vendors to submit their bids.
Okay, does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds good. It's Steve. Sounds good to me.
What was the date?
This is Cornelia. Sounds good to me.
September 16th. It's a Wednesday.
September 16th.
Is that good for you, Kenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Lee,
how about Lori? You good for that? Cornelia, you good for Wednesday the 16th?
Yes.
Okay. And Steve, you are too?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll plan on that. And Lee, if you could find us a place to have that, I'd appreciate it very much. And if it looks like we can't make that happen a week or two ahead of time, we'll let you know, Lee. But that's what we'll plan on, and we'll get an agenda out for that meeting as these folks respond or don't.
This is Lee. Do you have any preference as to meeting place?
Well, the library works pretty good, if that's okay with everybody. This is Bill.
This is Lee.
Steve. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll see if the library is available. Before, when we were meeting, I think it was not available. Maybe we can get the city hall. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Or is the conference room at the airport still available?
I'll check.
It might.
The restaurant.
This Steve, Bill, do you think that'll be big enough for social distancing?
Well, that's a good point. The library is actually better for that. I'll tell you what, Lee, would you let me know what you find out, what looks good? Is there a big room at the Epic that might be open that we could use in social distance?
This is Lee. On the Epic, I had looked into that a couple of years ago, and they said if we wanted to use that, we had to either pay rent or we would have to purchase refreshments to be able to use the room rent-free. And they had a minimum refreshments.
Oh, okay.
This is Debbie Landis with Goodwin. Lee, what about the police meeting room?
I'll check.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee, if you could kind of, since this is kind of new, this COVID thing, if you could let Debbie and I know what might look good for spots we can do this on that date, and then we'll figure that out. But just so we can social distance and not everybody's not elbow to elbow.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we haven't had anybody join us. No citizens' comments. Going once, going twice. All right. I move we adjourn this side. Don't move. I adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. And check your emails, and we'll be Debbie and I will be getting on this as quick as we can and see what we do. In the meantime, we will proceed with making sure the landscape guys keep maintaining things, and we'll keep. I know Lori will, and I'll try to stop by and we'll make sure the irrigation system's staying up. But right now, that's kind of how we'll handle it. I appreciate it, guys. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.